Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Just throw in my tunes here and we can get the ball rolling. It's going, Fury. What's up? Yeah, I mean that's one that 12 months, 2 years from now is gonna be right back up to $7. I really do like that one. I do have a holding in an MFA. CRISPR Therapeutics misses. I've got an average of 263, and the downside to my trading dashboard is that between 4:30 and 6 they do IT work on it, so I can't actually pull up my holdings until then. IVR, oh yeah, no, I don't. Invesco is something different altogether. I haven't touched it. I think ACRX earnings are going to be fantastic. They're for August, so next week I think we get them. Just going through here, guys, to grab some data. I don't have 10. No, no, I don't hold 10. I typically don't hold ETFs. Um, my issue with ETFs is I can actually take the time to sit down and read through the ETF, find what's of value in it, and just invest directly in that. I'm not a huge fan of being in an ETF. I know that's contrary to a lot of popular opinion that ETFs are a phenomenal thing, but for me, it's just not. I'd rather look through and sift for the pieces of gold in the ETF than buy the dog shit with the gold, if that makes sense. A lot of juicy news today. All right, let's go through this. The actual bill from the GOP hasn't been dropped yet, so as soon as it does, I'll take a look at it. They just given some overview. What I'm looking at with these earnings beats, guys, is anything that falls between $5 and $11 a share. Pfizer's up 1.9 post market biotech. Might be a good COVID day. Morning, Saki. Gene editing? Yeah, CRISPR. CRISPR Therapeutics. There's actually a big long list of gene therapy. Voila. Roche, Astellas, Bluebird, Voyager, ORTX. Voila. Novartis, SRPT. SRPT is the only one on this list I think that I've actually traded at any point. Um, Yeah, anything they put out doesn't really matter because it has to be approved by both sides, and that's where the House and the Senate are going to have to come together right now. Is you got a $3 trillion bill that is socialism at its core, and you've got a $1.5 trillion bill that I haven't read yet because they haven't put it out yet. So as soon as it drops, I'll read it. But what it seems to be is it's a focus on strengthening business, healthcare, education. There's no pot in there. There's no USPS services. There's no increase to unemployment. All of that's gone. Um, so we'll see where the Dems and Republicans meet. Feels like it's a wider gap than it has been in the past. Yeah, WPRT was flying yesterday. I think that we get in the news very, very soon from them. Um, Um, I think there are certain things the Republicans are unwilling to move on. Um, keeping unemployment where it is not going to happen. There are states that are supplying people with 120% of what they made pre-COVID on their unemployment, and that's not going to continue. They're looking to incentivize people to get back to work, and you don't do that by having really, really great unemployment. Caesars is hurting again. That merger news didn't last too long. It's crazy. Yeah. Aiden, are you in Canada though? Um, so here's yesterday's short plays, guys. You guys can see the equity graph continues to rise. Wasn't a massive day yesterday, but 260 on the day. Mara and Riot were part of the crazy run on anything that had ties to crypto yesterday. Um, so it was surprising to come out profitable on Riot at all. Oh, Massachusetts. Okay. Um, but yeah, overall the day was profitable. Gains weren't nearly as big as I would have liked, but that is what it is. It's still a profitable day, so I'll take it. Win rate's still up over 74%. We're seeing an average profit of about $660 a trade. That doesn't take into account a lot of trades, so this is going to go down. I think here when I yeah 186. It's thinking hard here. All right, I broke it. It's thinking too hard. All right, there we go. K99. K. Some K99. K140. Okay. Yeah, Rita just had migraines yesterday, is all. Typically, I do hop on with her when the market closes and just shoot it up, but she wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't feeling good yesterday. I haven't added to this FDA approval strat in a while. Earnings strat, nothing to add. Upgrades, I'm sure there are upgrades. Okay, let's check the news here. Some ACRX news here. Sears at 15 cents. That's hilarious. That's a trend that I just, it really bothers me that the retail traders, whether it's Robinhood or elsewhere, are buying into bankruptcies. Okay, so there are a few upgrades here that I can add. Upgrade. 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 All right, let's do some work on this upgrade. So the only rule with this upgrade is that it has to be sub 40. This is molecular. It's good for MBRX. I mean, it's good that iPix is finally getting mentioned in these news wires. Startup. Yeah, this is just generic knowledge. Earnings preview. Here we go. This is just the expectations, yeah. Drugmaker is expected to post a quarterly loss of 17 per share, which is down year over year, and revenues are expected to be 2.8 million, up 200% from the year ago quarter. I don't see what they've got them ranked though. It doesn't say. Oh, rank 4. Yeah, so this is saying we don't know. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty excited heading into their earnings. Okay, so purple, PRPL. Let's open up the big sheet here. PRPL. Okay, and I want they got their upgrade on Monday. July 27th. Okay, so with the upgrades, guys, what we're looking at is anything sub 40. So 7/27, 2020, PRPL. No, no, it didn't really. Um, so essentially, you take the stock at the open and you get rid of it at the close, and you see what the difference was. 1943 close was 2039. High for the day was 2044. Okay. Okay, Arcturus ARCT. ARCT is above the price point. Redfin. It's too bad it's just over. BBL. Over. BJ. Just over. Holy cow. CETAS. Way over. LE. Okay, so win rate on high is 95%. And this is with a $5,000 bankroll. So on high, how many trade? This is over since the start of June would be the first one, but really didn't start trading till here. I'm tempted to just take out these 2 data points. So for the month of July, there's 420, there's 16 trades there. And on 16 trades, you would have made 2,500 off of 5 grand. You would have made almost 50% on your portfolio in a month doing this. That's a super easy trade. That strategy is turning out nicely. Interesting. So gold's falling back. I wonder what Bitcoin is doing then alongside it. Yeah, it's declining back down too. Wow, it broke over the 11,000 mark yesterday. All right, let's take a look at what is popping pre-market here. Wonder if Bitcoin is just going to decline today. Market stops pre-market. What's moving? Okay, nothing insane. SPPI, Spectrum Pharmaceuticals. Okay, so this is phase 2 data, phase 1 data. Phase 2 clinical lung cancer data. I'm going to keep that over there. Okay, so this is another pharma company. SPPI Meds. India Globalization Capital Inc. Smells like a China hustle to me. What is this? 9F Inc. JFU. Financial Investment Management Company out of China. Yeah, those are the pre-market movers. So two China hustles. Two China hustles and two bio stocks are the big pre-movers here. What do we got here? Oof. It's hard to watch. Hard to watch. Let's see here. Um, TPB. This would be an options play if I played it at all. I wouldn't play this on equity. Um, Pets are testing positive for coronavirus. I think that this is a huge concern for me. So when it came to the Easter pilgrimage, they canceled it essentially. So the Pope said, don't come here, stay home. We'll broadcast my mass." I think that similar action should have been taken here. I think that this is really risky. And it's not that the pilgrimage itself is something that I'm opposed to. It's that during this time, for you to be bringing people from all over the world, but we're talking from North America, Europe, Asia, and then also you've got the African continent. So you have people literally from all over the world coming together into a single space. I don't care if there's fewer of them or not. They're all coming together. And if somebody is asymptomatic that attends this thing, and they are all crowded in here, expect there to be an outbreak as a cause of this. And as you get people contracting this, you're going to have it spread back out where all these people are going back to. It, very, very concerning. This is kind of cool. Yes, so cool. They converted their old robots into ventilators. Really? That's amazing. Yeah. Well, Alex Jones says a lot of things. So I don't care about the press on Alex Jones. Okay, so Alex Jones is Alex Jones. He's got every right to be everything that he is. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's known to be. Um, but what I don't see is I don't see anything about him having a medical background. So what I'm gonna do when it comes to something like coronavirus is I'm going to listen to physicians that have been working in um, whether it's immunology, whether it's bacteriologists, virologists. I'm going to take their word that it exists over somebody who has no medical background whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, go visit a hospital. That 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 type of incendiary remark that COVID isn't real, it's fake, it's a conspiracy, it's a planned bio attack on the world. All it does is actually detract the conversation from the reality, which is we've got a disease to deal with. We have to find a cure. If you want to, if I mean, if you want to fill your days with conspiracy theories, fine. Let's actually fix the problem first, and then afterwards you can spew conjecture as to the conspiracy that is aliens dropped the virus to wipe the planet clean and harvest our resources. Like, um, I don't mind people being conspiracy theorists. Everybody has the freedom of speech. My concern is how we use that freedom. Just because you have the freedom to say whatever you want doesn't mean you always should. Um, No, I knew who Alex Jones was. I was checking to see if he had any medical history in his background. I didn't know if he had any, at any point, been a doctor or had any kind of medical training whatsoever. So that's what I was looking for, was some indication that he had had some medical training of some kind, that he has the ability to speak to COVID being a hoax. Typically, when you get conspiracy theorists up here, the response to them is okay. Okay. Yeah, my dad was a financial research analyst. That doesn't mean that I know a damn thing about what that does or what that means. And just because his dad is a doctor doesn't mean that I'm going to take his dad's word over leading virologists globally that can confirm that this is a real thing. I'm also not going to take his dad's opinion over how many dead? 650,000 dead people. So, Alex Jones, ladies and gentlemen. This is a bum job right here. Whoever took the head of the WTO, ugh, I feel for him. That is a no-win situation. Spanish unemployment is over 15%. European Central Bank doesn't want to pay dividends until next year. Global potential economic growth is set to drop in coming years. To each their own, man. To each their own. I feel like an article like this doesn't even need to be mentioned. Global growth potential tumbles as jobless spikes. Oh, really? The economy is going to take longer to come back? That's crazy. Who would have seen that? Oh, wait, everyone. Lebanon's not going to get cash handouts it wanted. Yeah, four new cases in Vietnam, and people are losing their mind on surges. Yeah, there are restrictions. So in In Ontario, clubs, bars, sporting events are still not open. You're required in Ontario to wear a mask whenever in a public place. That's mandatory. Inside, I should say, in a public place. If you're walking around outside, you're not required to. Let's blame the younger generation for infections and deaths. This is big. I mean, that's good to hear. Okay, GOP's not happy. Mnuchin's giving so much away. There are Republicans that don't want to spend anymore. Yeah, that's true. See, this is a bigger deal because New Zealand is actually geographically much closer to China. For you to rattle China's cage takes a little bit more, so that's surprising to me that they did that. I'm interested to see if this is a real thing or this is just them saying this would work well. Okay. Um, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I would have to actually dig into that. I've heard people talking about uh, companies are looking to India and Africa instead of China for production. China's looking to move into Africa anyway on its own production as well. So, um, I don't think so. If you need anything done in mass quantity, you still got to go to China for it. 54 of the 55 nations recognized by the African Union have signed to join the free trade area, Eritrea being the exception. I wonder if the retail trading is causing the death of the hedge fund. People are saying, well, we don't need you to trade our money for us. We can trade it ourselves. Yeah, my understanding on this was 20%. Is kind of the industry standard. But for me it's 20% on the gains, so there has to be gains. If there's no gains, hedge funds lost 3.4% in the first half of 2020. Like, no bueno. You can't be charging fees if you're not winning. That's crazy. So these doctors here are saying that they have done a breakdown of the study that showed that hydroxychloroquine was ineffective, and they proved that the data was fraudulent in that study. This is really interesting. This is racist. LAD's pissed. Trump was taking it. He hasn't been taking it, but he was on it originally, with Z-Pak. One of the original issues with hydroxychloroquine was the heart arrhythmia, that was frequent with it. Now, if you have constant medical supervision while you're taking it, with the Z-Pak, original studies did show that it was effective. Now, I would have to dig into a lot more medical reports here and see what they're talking about, but, well, let's go to the Lancet. So, Lancet hydroxychloroquine withdrawal. This is retracted. It's true. So the claim that those doctors are making is that they evaluated the study that showed hydroxychloroquine was ineffective. They looked at the study and they found that this data was fabricated. It has been retracted. This study has been proven false. The one that showed that hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. Um, so what these doctors in this video are saying, that part of it at least is true, that, um, the initial study showing that it does not work is fraudulent. That's very, very interesting. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Um, I think pot rises if Biden wins. Green energy, it's gonna be harder for him to do. Okay, so it says, oh, I wouldn't pick ACB. If the U.S. federal government removes the Class 1 designation, ACB is a Canadian based company. I think they have very, very small odds of becoming the leader in the States. I would look to something like Tilray over ACB. This guy's going to get sued. Look at this. This is what CNN has become, is just an endless line of, ugh. Well, that's what they're finding in Canada as well, is that people just keep going to their dealers. It's cheaper. Well, um, so I I can't confirm one way or the other what's going on here. They can't hear you, but I can hear you. Yeah. We're looking at no, it's good. We're looking at so there's a video that was pulled off of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube regarding hydroxychloroquine actually being a working cure for COVID. There's a group of doctors that went to Washington and made the claim that the original data from the studies was doctored, showing that hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. And so I initially just push that aside because it didn't seem believable. But then I went and actually went to the Lancet, which is where the study was published, and the entire study has been retracted. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now on stream, but the entire study has been retracted for fraudulent data and results. Yeah. Well, Trump was the advocate for this, right? Trump took this. And now that YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter have just scrubbed it, they've gotten rid of it. Um, it leaves people going, oh, okay, well, they pulled the video of the doctors. Um, no. So the video on social media is a video of 7 or 8 doctors from across the U.S. who have come together to say hydroxychloroquine works. It works. Um, and they've been prescribing it, even though the FDA said not to. They've still been prescribing it to people with Z-Pak and zinc because it works. It's saving lives and it works. And then the one guy who's kind of the head doctor of the group steps up and goes, I'm the one who refuted the data on these studies saying hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. And within 2 weeks of my data hitting the Lancet and the New England Medical Journal, both of those studies have been retracted since because the data is fraudulent. Super crazy. How would what? Because the official stance from the FDA is that the hydroxychloroquine is not an effective treatment, and so they're going with what the FDA says is the right. All the social platforms are going with what the FDA and the WHO, World Health Organization, are saying is right. Now, the problem is the FDA and the World Health Organization made that decision based off of these studies, claiming that there was data, and there was no data. So now we find ourselves in this vicious cycle of legislation, right? Where it's like, so the FDA and WHO came to a decision on hydroxychloroquine based off of the data from this research. That was published in the Lancet New England Medical Journal, which are two of the world's most esteemed medical journals. But now both of those studies have been retracted on fraudulent data. But the FDA and the WHO haven't changed their position on hydroxychloroquine. So all the social networks are not changing their position on hydroxychloroquine. No, I can't blame them. I see the loophole that they're stuck in, but at the same time, it's very, very interesting. I had I gone to the Lancet and yes, yes. Um, So Martini's on stream, guys. You can't hear her because my audio sucks and I still haven't figured it out. But she's saying that this makes these social platforms an editorial when they're not allowing both sides of the conversations to be heard, especially one like this where it's factual. What we're seeing is factual, and they haven't. The social media networks themselves haven't verified one way or the other whether or not these doctors are telling the truth. Instead, they just edit it out. What they've now made themselves is a editorial. They are now no longer a water cooler conversation. They are directly manipulating and influencing the conversation. They are editorial. Um, no, there's no play on hydroxychloroquine because it's a malaria drug that's been readily available. It's a generic, which is just going to fuel the masses that are conspiracy theorists on this because they will say, okay, well, this is big pharma just trying to make money again. This is the government's just trying to make money again at the cost of lives and people. And it's like, well, it's hard to make that argument because Trump has been for hydroxychloroquine since go. In fact, even using it himself. So that's going to be a big old leap to take. But that both of these studies were rescinded is pretty crazy. So somebody just sent me a newer study as of July 23rd from the New England Journal of Medicine. No, this is the other one that they refuted. I just want to see if this guy's name is on this. This no, this is out of Brazil. Okay. I'm gonna read this real quick here. So he claimed that he pulled data from something called Surgisphere, which is actually a company that he owned, the lead doctor on the study. He claimed that he pulled data from thousands of cases from his company, Surgisphere, that collects anonymous medical data from hospitals around the world. But when the doctors and that were analyzing the report took a look at that, they said, "Well, we'd like to see that data, please." And he said, "Well, I don't have it available for you. It's not for you. You weren't part of the study. I can't just give it to you." They went, "Well, no, that's how this works. That's how a peer-reviewed study works. Is you supply us the data, we examine the data against your findings, and then we let the world know whether or not we consider this to be a study of any legitimacy." And he couldn't produce the data. And then now, if you try to go to Surgisphere, this guy's website and business that he owned, it's gone. It no longer exists. Against hydroxychloroquine. This is the guy that put out the study. It was published by four doctors. So it was published by four doctors, and apparently what happened was the this lead doctor with Surgisphere. What he did was he accumulated all the data, interpreted the data, and then showed the other doctors his interpretation. And the other three doctors looked at his interpretation and went, "Well, if that data is true, then your interpretation is correct." And they put their name on the report. Yep. Yeah, it was poor peer review at best, but just reading the results of this new study. Yeah, the unfortunate part about this new study is it's missing a key piece. So the the combo treatment that people want used is hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, which is what's the medical name on that? azithromycin, that's Z-Pak. And then on top of that, you've got zinc being offered as a supplement to balance your liver enzyme levels. So this study here only went with hydroxychloroquine with the Z-Pak. It didn't have the zinc supplement with it. And people go, well, does that really make a big deal? Well, yeah, it makes a huge deal when we're talking about the major reason that you're opposed to the use of this treatment is the risk to the liver. Well, the zinc is helping to balance that risk, which is what these physicians in the US are saying, is it's a combo treatment of three things, not two. Um, so it's interesting. Um, it's also a super small sample size. It's only 500 people, this new study. Actually, only 200 people. 220 received hydroxychloroquine. Let's look at this table here. Comparable rates of pre-existing conditions. I'm opening it up now to read it. So the solidarity trial from the International Steering Committee um, used evidence from all trials presented at the July 1st and 2nd WHO summit. So they used the studies from the Lancet and the New England Medical Journal as their guiding points, as their data at this solidarity trial. Um, Clinical trial, blah blah blah. So this one does look like an independent study. 470 test patients. Hydroxychloroquine causes no harm, but also does not produce any um, improvements. Now, the issue with this is the NIH study, again, was only on hydroxychloroquine, not hydroxychloroquine paired with Z-Pak and um, zinc supplement. So they weren't testing the combo that these doctors have been using. Aiden, yeah, the NHS is the Canadian version of the NIH. Yeah. Mm, Because I remember us reading studies on hydroxychloroquine of people of a doctor in New York. I mean, here's a positive study from after the WHO designated hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. Kaiser Health. Early treatment with hydroxychloroquine cuts death rate significantly in certain sick patients hospitalized with COVID. Hmm. Okay, here's a study. 700, it's recruiting, closed May 18th. So here's a study that has the hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, zinc sulfate, and another one, doxycycline, which I think is a pain med. Um, no, it's not. It's an antibiotic. So either they had doxy or Z-Pak. Okay. Study start date April 28th. Estimated primary completion date September 30th, 2020. There's 750 participants in this one. So this study won't complete until September, but this one is actually a medical study that's in progress that is looking at this three-tiered treatment. What's up, TTR? Either way, this is going to open up. This is going to just kick the hornet's nest real hard. I bet you we see a lot of these COVID players take a little bit of a rattle on this. I mean, I let's see what let's see what's happening to Moderna pre-market. I just don't know how much sway this has, but uh, Trump, a whole bunch of Republicans, Breitbart, unfortunately Breitbart. Um, no, it's up. It's up pre-market. Moderna's up. AZN, AstraZeneca is up pre-market. The problem is like this is there's no conclusive news to one side or the other here. I'm not going to take a 400 hydroxychloroquine is not a Gilead drug. No. No, Saki. Remdesivir is the Gilead drug. Hydroxychloroquine is a generic, which means it's been on the market so long that nobody holds an exclusivity patent to it. So there wouldn't really be money to be made on it, other than the little bit of money that you make on actually producing the drug and selling it. But that just covers costs. There's no money to be made on a revolutionary new drug that the entire world needs, which is where all of the nutters are going to come out in full force today and say that this is just big pharma manipulating the global political scene and the current crisis in order to create a new drug that could be potentially harmful. And I mean, depending on what there needs to be more studies. You cannot make a conclusive determination with a sample group of 500 people and only 200 people actually took this hydroxychloroquine Z-Pak, but it wasn't the proper treatment because these doctors in the States are advocating for zinc sulfate Z-Pak and hydroxychloroquine being used in conjunction. So we're not even studying the same thing. We're talking apples and Japanese pears. They kind of look the same, but they're a completely different fruit. So it leads to a lot of potential risk on both sides, because the biggest fallout from all of this is um, it's casting seeds of doubt. And what you have is now people that are going to hop on Twitter this morning, see hashtag hydroxychloroquine works. And do you think any of them are going to do what I just did? Do you think any of them are going to go look at medical reports and they're going to break down studies and they're going to see why things were canceled and who canceled them, and they're going to do a background study on the original doctor that did that data? No, nobody's going to do that. Nobody. They're going to look at the headline, it's say hydroxychloroquine works, and they're going to go out and they're going to be advocating for hydroxychloroquine works. Unless politically you lean to the other side and you go, well, Trump and Breitbart and Republicans like it, so I don't like it because I'm not a Republican, I'm a Democrat, so they're wrong and I'm against it. And now what you've done is, instead of using medical data to come to a conclusion, people are going to use political leaning to come to a conclusion. And that is a terrible way to do any kind of a medical study. That's how people die. Okay, here we go. I do have a doctor that is in my Twitter. He's linked to a study from Yale. That's a lot of doctors on this one. Okay. This article is a preprint and has not been peer reviewed. It reports new medical research that is yet to be evaluated and should not be used to guide clinical practice. Oh, good. Um, this is just hydroxychloroquine again. This is not the combo treatment. Yikes. Yeah, this now people are just confused, including me. I don't know what to make of this guy's heads nor tails. There's not enough data to make a conclusion one way or the other, especially because there's not enough tests out there that actually indicate whether this combo treatment of HCQ, Z-Pak, and zinc sulfate is effective. And we won't have results on that until September. And here's where you see it getting political. People saying, well, this whole hashtag started trending as of 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. And so it's Russia. Russia's doing it. Yeah, it's pretty shocking here. Yeah, yeah. No, those are two very different things. So what Martini's saying, guys, is that you can't debunk a medical treatment if you're not looking at the entire medical treatment. So if you're saying that it's a combination of, let's say somebody says we can make a cake, okay? All you need is flour, egg, and milk. And somebody goes and grabs a bag of flour, throws it in the oven, and goes, "No, look, you can't make a cake with flour." Like, no, that's true. You can't make a cake with flour. But if you had a cake with flour, or if you had a bowl of flour and eggs and milk and sugar and whatever else you need to make a cake, and you blend that all together, and then you put it in the oven, now you can make a cake. That's exactly what's happening here, where the studies are all looking and examining hydroxychloroquine singularly or with Z-Pak. In some of the studies were looking at Z-Pak in conjunction. But again, that go back to the recipe, right? Like, okay, well, that means that you had flour and milk, but no eggs. Well, it didn't turn out. No duh, because you didn't have all the ingredients that you needed to make it work. Well, surely there's an easier answer than that. No, no, medicine is not easy, especially with complicated new diseases. So that's the issue that I have with that side of it. There is no study other than there is one study right now that's currently underway. U.S. National Library of Medicine clinical trials, hydroxychloroquine and zinc with either azithromycin or doxycycline. This one hopefully isn't canceled and is continuing. It says that they estimate a primary completion date of September, a study completion date of December 31st. Um, but this study here is exactly the study that we need. Um, there's contact information here for these doctors. I think I'm going to reach out to these guys. I think I'm going to email these guys. Thank you kindly. That is a typo. Okay, I'll fire them off an email. I don't know that they'll respond, but at the very least, I can fire them off an email to find out if that study is still happening. Um, it looks like they're trying to bump this down the list here because Lamborghini is now trending. Oh, why do they do this? Man in Florida receives 3.9 million in COVID-19 relief funds, buys himself a Lamborghini. There's a man in Florida who fraudulently obtained 4 million from the Paycheck Protection Program and then went and bought himself a Lamborghini and some watches and uh, GOP COVID bill. They don't make it easy to read this crap. They never make it easy to find the bill because I've been looking for it and I still can't find the actual bill. Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, it's still around. What car does Millennial drive? Millennial drives a Chevy Express cargo van because it's the only thing that we can find that fits a family of 10. It's really crazy that not a single news source provides a link to the actual bill. Even worse, they named this the HEALS Act, and there was already a bill in Congress called the HEALS Act. The HEALS Act. So it makes it even harder to find. Shit, there's. Oh my goodness. So there's already a Helping Entrepreneurs Access Loan Act, HEAL, and then there's Help End Abusive Living Situations Act, the HEALS Act, that already exists. Stimulus. Sort by date of introduction. This has the draft in it? Okay, perfect. This is what I wanted. This is it here. So this draft isn't going to give the full details here. So let's see here. Um, 235 billion to healthcare. Of the 70 billion for schools, 105 billion for education, 5 billion to the governor's fund, which is flexible for K to 12 or higher education, 29 billion to higher education, so that's post-secondary, um, and 70 billion for K to 12. Of the 70 billion K to 12, 10 billion goes to private schools. 30 billion is distributed to states within 15 days and must be sent by states to school districts within 15 days. The remaining 30 billion is available only to schools that physically reopen and is contingent upon a district reopening plan. That's going to be a sticking point. If you open your school and bring students back, you are eligible for another 30 billion in assistance. Stimulus payments, all this draft says, guys, is that there will be a stimulus payment, but they don't know how much and they don't know how frequent. Unemployment, there will be an extension, but likely not 600 a week. This is oh. Okay, so Pelosi's bill was bad because it was an 1,800-page piece of garbage that was essentially an election platform for the Democrats. But this is equally as bad because all this is a 3-page draft that has no there's no meat. The questions that you want answered, yeah, the education stuff is here, and that's great. And there's vaccine research and healthcare and all that. That's there, fine. 235 billion out of a 1.5 trillion dollar package going to health. Okay, I think it should be probably a little bit higher. I think it should be at least a third of the bill, but whatever. 235 billion. Okay, cool. We know that some of that's going to education. Okay, fine. Stimulus payments, I don't know. We'll probably pay them. We don't know how much. Okay, well, that's not helpful. Unemployment, well, we'll probably pay unemployment, but it's not going to be 600 a week. Okay, what is it going to be? Well, we don't know yet. But they're making sure that there's a cap at 100% of income. So whatever you claimed on your taxes, I hope you guys filed taxes, because if you're trying to claim unemployment income and this goes through, if you didn't file your taxes, you get nada. You get nothing. Paycheck protection program. There'll be streamlined loan forgiveness for small loans under 150,000, intermediate forgiveness process for loans under $1 million. So if you're a small business, go ahead and take a loan out for 150,000 because they're just going to forgive it. Enhanced employee retention tax credit. So businesses that keep their employees, so instead of laying them off or putting them on furlough, people that actually keep their employees are going to get a tax credit. That's great. I like that. Yeah, they can state that, but that's not actually in the bill, Aiden. So people making that conjecture that this is what it is can't do that until the bill is actually floored. This draft actually doesn't provide any clarity on that. And this is the only factual piece of documentation that we have on this bill. So until they actually floor the bill in its entirety, those numbers are people guessing. It's a guessing game. And eh, you know how much I love guessing. Yeah, this particular draft. Liability reform. Exclusive federal cause of action that applies to litigation against any business, nonprofit, school, medical provider, medical professions arising from COVID. Cases can be brought in state or federal court, but this cause of action is only the standard liability applies either way. Defendants have the right to remove any case filed in state court or federal district. Prevail plaintiffs must show that the defendant was grossly negligent. Okay, so all this is, guys, and people are getting pissed off about this liability inclusion by the Republicans, it's a necessity that that's there. And the reason why it's a necessity is this. Let's say you are an employer, okay? You run a McDonald's. You own a McDonald's. You're a restaurant owner. Put yourself in that mindset. It's a relatively simple thing, right? You run a McDonald's and you do everything necessary. You set up your employees with PPE. You make sure that there's sanitizing stations. You make sure that everything is there that they need to stay safe at work. You have all the requirements necessary for your restaurant. In fact, you go above and beyond. You provide your all the customers are required to sanitize their hands on entry. They have to have a face mask on, a face shield of some kind. They can't enter the restaurant without it. There's only 10 people allowed in the restaurant at a time. You're not allowed to eat in the restaurant. You have to leave the restaurant. Like all of the things that you're supposed to do, right? It's all there for you. And the people that run that restaurant have gone out of their way to make sure that nobody gets COVID, everybody's fine, everything's good. You get an employee who contracts COVID while at work. It still happens. And that's possible. That is a reality. This liability reform protects the employer from being sued by the employee for having contracted COVID at work. This has to be here. This piece of legislation has to be here. And I know that people are like, well, screw big business, man. Screw the business. Screw the man. Those people should be allowed to sue their business because they got them sick with COVID. What this is saying is if a business is negligent and it doesn't take the due diligence necessary to protect its employees within a reasonable doubt, then yes, you can file a lawsuit against the business. However, if a business is going above and beyond in its effort to keep you safe in the workplace and you still happen to contract the virus, you can't sue them. And I think that this has to be there. It absolutely has to be there. Otherwise, you're just going to, every time somebody contracts COVID, you're going to have a lawsuit. That's part of the Republican stimulus package is that liability reform. Currently, that doesn't exist. Currently, employers could be sued, which is why Amazon has lawsuits against it already, and they'll have to prove in court. And that may be a faster way than them trying to legislate it, where you just bring it to court and then the court throws it out and creates precedent, showing that Amazon did its due diligence in trying to protect its employees. Now, no shocker, guys. Bernie Sanders isn't a fan of the Republican bill, even though we don't have it in full. His stance on the bill is no way, no how. Okay, let's see if the pre-market movers have changed at all. They have changed. We have a new front runner. Okay, so these guys stayed. This guy's gone. Okay, CLXT. What does CLXT do? Not at all, guys. You are welcome. This is the due diligence we all should be doing when crap like this drops. It's not even my government. That's the crazy thing. Is like it doesn't even affect me. The Not directly anyway. It doesn't affect me what bill gets passed, and yet I read every single bill that comes out in regards to the stimulus packages for the US. I want to know what's there because that's directly going to affect the market. And when that market gets affected, the US market gets affected, the Canadian market gets affected, and the Canadian government's going to respond in kind. So, whenever a new measure is announced in Canada for what's happening with how we are spending money into this crisis, I read it. As far as reopening goes, I don't read as much of that because I could care less about that. But the reality is, guys, these stimulus packages where governments are spending trillions of dollars, you should be reading those. That's your money. They're spending your money. Okay, so this front runner, CLXT, makes soybeans. Creates soybean oil and meal, high fiber wheat, alfalfa, cold storable potatoes. Can anybody think of a reason why a company that makes soybean oil and potatoes would double in value overnight? I It actually didn't go, Aiden. So that the few billion for the JFK Foundation, that was in the what do they call that one? The Heroes Act, and the Heroes Act hasn't been passed yet. But that's in there. That hasn't been passed yet. Ooh. So Martini's taking a look at the baby ETF, and she finally noticed. I was waiting for her to ask about it, but I threw the Honda Motor Company in there. Can anybody guess why the Honda Motor Company is in the baby ETF? Bingo, Ajax got it. Minivans. Number one minivan for 2020, Honda Odyssey. Soccer mom's got to have that van. Got to ditch the car and head for the minivan. Yeah. You you make it when the baby's nesting. You make it pre-baby so that you have it, so you can take the baby home from the hospital in the minivan. That's a pre-birth purchase. Mm, I mean, KMB, PG, and J&J are also going to have it. They're also not pure plays. But I also gave Honda Motor Corp. I actually would probably switch as far as the weighting here. I think this would be the five, and this would be the oh, 5, 10. Well, all I did was change the sizing with CRI because CRI is a pure play, but HMC is I think it's still a solid play. Um, that's in my opinion though. I have been wrong. Well, the good news is all of these pre-market movers, guys, there's no single trend here, which is typically something that I like to see. Where so this is a hardware software company. We've got a soybean company. We have a bio company. We have this is biotechnically, but it's biotech. It's not biopharmaceutical. And then we've got a China hustle. So there's where's the soy grown? I assume it's grown stateside, but who knows? Um, how do I save it? Oh, add to my dashboards. Can I create a new dashboard? My dashboards. Okay, so let's go back here to this link. Open this up. Add to my dashboards, baby dashboards. Okay, Rita wants me to tell you guys about the normalized performance graph on Koyfin. That's the GM one down here, right? Okay, so the breakdown on this, guys, is you're going to be able to see without a lot of the confusion that comes from historical or intraday performance. What you're seeing here is actually how the stock is doing, and it's a really great simple snapshot of you just being able to look at this and go, how is this stock currently performing, good or bad? Oh, look, it's bad. Okay. Like it's just quick and easy for you to take a look at this if you're not looking to immediately dive into, oh crap, your whole board didn't come over. It just brought Natus over. No. No, it just does the one. It says in my dashboards, and then I go to my dashboards and I open the baby dashboard. Yeah, it's not there. Interesting. So it's Natus, HMC, CRI, PLCE, J&J, PG, KMB. Almost have it memorized. Did I miss one? Is that all of them? Weird. It just like it's no, it just disappears. All of it disappears. Yep. I've got a watch list set up on my trading dashboard for the ETF, like a specific watch list for it. So I pull that up daily to see how it's performing, but I'm just going to update the data weekly because it's such a long-term play. Um, it doesn't need daily updating. Yeah. So the upgrade strategy that I had, where if something gets an upgrade to the positive side, either a buy or a strong buy, you buy at the open and sell on the initial spike at the day. That's got a. We were not up to 30 data points yet, but over 18 data points. If you buy right at market open, whatever the ask is, just hit it, and then hold it for that first 15 minutes where it spikes up, and then get out. It's a 100% win rate. So long as the equity is a sub 40 stock. So if sub 40 stock, it's an upgrade. It's a 100% win rate as long as you buy it at the gate or pre-market, and then sell in that first 15 minutes. Now, not insane gains by any stretch of the imagination, but Nope, any upgrade. So single upgrade or double upgrade, but it has to be an upgrade. It has to be to buy. Sorry. So an upgrade to buy or an upgrade to strong buy. And so you buy pre-market or at the open, at the ask, and then sell in that first 15 minutes. Do I check for upgrade stocks from Seeking Alpha? No, I use a mix of tip ranks and Keeper, my social feed checker. But across these trades, $2,700 on a $5,000 bankroll. So this tool up here, guys, you can't see the drop down menu. But this drop down menu, this is a tool that I use to pull from RSS feeds. So essentially, I set up a Google search. So what I did was I went in and into Google, I typed in upgraded to buy. Head to news, scroll down to the bottom, and I created an alert. And then I subscribed to that RSS feed, and it automatically populates into this. In this, then this tool will daily populate and tell you, okay, well, here are some stuff that pops up. I just go in here and it produces a list of different articles. So analyst upgrade, upgrade. It creates an RSS feed. Yeah, creates an RSS feed of everything that goes out onto the internet and shoots it to me in that tool. And then I can just pull it from that. And then as well, I'm in tip ranks most mornings, right? So I can go here as well and just check for ooh, I'm officially a 3-star investor now. I'm moving on up. Daily stock ratings. You can go to daily stock ratings here and get a list of all the latest upgrades one way or the other. So daily buy ratings, daily sell ratings. Yeah. So there's, you can pull from those, IIPR, PRO, RPM, CRISP. Holy crap, this lady's got a 102 on CRISP. $140, holy crap. Is that a Chrome extension? Yeah, it's a Chrome extension. It's called Feeder. And then you just, so Feeder wasn't built for this. Feeder was built for you to have, it's an RSS reader is all that it is. But what I did was I paired that with Google search, and then I create Google searches that are relevant to stocks that I trade. So you guys, again, can't see the titles when I drop down this menu, but I've got searches in here for moleculin, Berlacidin, FDA approved, ACRX, orphan designation, MFA Financial, GameStop, Immutep, Solarius, Weichai, Waiter, OCGN, The Lancet. Yeah, so I have all of these searches out there, and it's populating those results to me. I realize we are at 7 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me today. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, take it easy. Stay green out in the market, guys. Later. I can figure out how to